Welcome to a review of managerial economics. Here where we'll look at this group assignment. We'll look at question number 1. So question number 1 basically looks at elasticity. So for us to understand question 1, first of all, we need to comprehend the concepts of elasticity. We'll start with what is elasticity, why is elasticity important, and what types of elasticity do we have. We also want to appreciate elasticity in its applicability. So by definition, elasticity simply, in the context of economics, refers to as the responsiveness of demand due to changes in the factors that affect demand. So elasticity of demand has a number of factors. These factors emanate from the factors that affect demand. So we're going to look at the factors that affect demand and also the types of elasticity. Then we'll go in understanding the question at length. So to start with, like I said, elasticity of demand is a concept in economics that simply measures how responsive the quantity demanded of a good or service changes due to its price. So if the quantity the degree to which the price affects the quantity demanded is very significant, we say demand is elastic. If it's very insignificant, we say it is inelastic. So we use the formula PED, which is price elasticity of demand, as a percentage change in quantity demanded over percentage change in price. So what denotes an elastic elasticity or inelastic elasticity? So let's delve in to understand this at length. So when you say demand is inelastic, we simply mean the elasticity value is less than 1. If demand is elastic, it means the value of elasticity is greater than 1. If it's equal to 1, we say it is unit elastic. So there are 3 ways of us understanding elasticity. So I repeat, demand is only elastic at the following levels: when the price elasticity of demand is greater than 1. So this means that the margin by which you increase the price, for instance, you increase the price by 10% and you lose demand by a smaller margin, for instance, 2%, we can say that is inelastic. But if we were to increase the price by 10% and we are losing demand by 20%, that is elastic. I repeat, if we're increasing the price by 10% and we're reducing the quantity demanded by 2%, it is inelastic, meaning it's a smaller, insignificant effect. Then if we have demand elasticity where the margin by which we're increasing the price is not as much as we are losing on demand, quantity demanded, we say it is not significant. So we say it is inelastic. So examples of products that are elastic in real life will include fuel, because we buy it on a daily basis. So we may also look at the daily consumables like tomato, like what we buy on a daily basis, bread. Those are kind of elastic. But things that are inelastic are things that we cannot do without. For instance, medicine, food, shima, these ones tend to be inelastic because regardless of the price fluctuations, people will still buy. And unit elastic is simply a situation where the margin by which we increase the price is equal to the margin by which we lose out in quantity demanded. Of course, in the real market, in the real world, this rarely happens, but the concept is it is in or unit elastic. So the formulas for price elasticity of demand are given as follows. Price elasticity of demand is given by percentage change in what? Quantity demanded over percentage change in
price.
correct. All right, so this will either give us negative 1.7, negative 1.0, negative 0.7. So which of the three, A, B, C, is elastic, inelastic, or unit elastic?
The elastic one is 0.7.
0.7 is what? Inelastic, because then
Yes.
0 is
The
in.
color.
Then elastic. Which one is elastic? A.
Oh, the bigger one. There is now this is negative. I'm getting confused.
The
Okay.
above one, it is elastic. So if you have a number like this here, to start with, elasticity of demand is always negative. So
yes.
any value between 0 and 1 are inelastic.
Oh, yes, yes.
Then anything exactly at 1, it is what? Unit elastic.
Elastic.
From 1 going this side is what? Elastic. All right. So A is what? Elastic. B is what? Unitary. And C is what? Inelastic. Are we together? When this
yes, we are. It was just that there was a call coming, so it just distracted me, but I think they'll call on this other line because they are waiting for a Yango. Sorry, now I'm bringing in this.
All right, okay. But you get this concept? If it's between,
Come again?
if you get
Oh,
the
yes, I do for the graph.
So now if you're using the formula, this is the formula we use. So the second quantity minus the initial quantity over the initial times 100 divided by the second price minus the first price over the initial price times 100. So this is what we use for the calculations. All right. So this is when you're dealing with what we call price elasticity of demand. Sometimes it's called own price elasticity of demand. So own price elasticity of demand is what we're calculating there. Now, mentioned to say there are several factors that we consider when we're looking at demand, factors that affect demand, and these ones are very cardinal in ascertaining the type of elasticity that we're dealing with. Kindly help me with stating any factors that affect demand.
The price of the good, advertising, income of the individuals, the presence of substitutes, even sometimes complements, goods.
Okay. Correct. So those are the factors that affect demand, and each of these ones predominantly has a type of what? Elasticity attached to it. So we have what? The price of that particular good. We also have price of other related goods. So price of that particular product here, we now use what is called price elasticity of demand. Then the income produces what we call the income elasticity of demand. The related goods, they produce either a substitute good or a complementary good. So these are the main ones that I want to discuss for now. So when you're dealing with the price of the product itself, this price of the good is the only factor that will cause the relationship to move along the demand curve. So meaning if the price of one good increases from P1 to P2, what this means is quantity demanded will reduce from Q1 to Q2. So this is the movement along. So this is what brings about what we call on price elasticity of demand or price elasticity of demand. So price elasticity of demand is always negative because of the inverse relationship that exists between price and quantity demanded. Okay.
Yes.
So factors that affect demand include the income. Income constitutes a significant role in determining how much of the product you demand. If you're going to demand a product and your elasticity of demand is so if you're going to demand a product and your income is low, it will be sensitive for you to wanting to purchase that good. So elasticity is affected also by the income. If your income is very low, you'll be sensitive to what you're going to buy because your budget is constricted. All right. So we also have two kinds of goods that we're going to denote from this. It's what we call normal goods or inferior goods. So if your income elasticity is negative, so this is a number line. If you have a negative elasticity of income, we call that an inferior good. If you get a positive income elasticity, that is called a normal good. Also, we also have related goods. They could either be substitute goods or complementary goods. If we get a negative elasticity of demand, it is called a complementary good. If we get a positive elasticity of demand, it's a substitute good. Now, what is a substitute good? These are goods that have competing attribute. One can be substituted for the other. So it means that an increase in price for one good will lead to an increase in demand for the other substitute. For instance, we have Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So if the price of Coca-Cola goes up, the demand for Pepsi will also go up. Whereas for the complementary good, the goods that move together, consume together. So in this case, the complementary goods like car and fuel. So if the price of fuel goes up, the demand for fuel will go down. Consequently, the demand for cars will go down. So this has a negative elasticity. So for these three, I need you to take particular key interest. So let's go to price elasticity of demand again. Price elasticity of demand, for instance, you have good A. Good A has price which is 10 kwacha. Then it has increased its price from 10 kwacha to 15 kwacha, causing an obvious decline. If you're consuming how many units? If you're consuming 20 units of good A, then if the price increases by 5 kwacha, you're going to reduce in your consumption. So for instance, consumption reduces to 10 units. What is the elasticity of what? Demand. So in this case, I said the elasticity of demand is what? Second quantity minus first quantity over Q1 times what? 100 over P2 minus what? P1 over P1 times what? 100. So what is our Q2? 10 minus what? 20 over what? 20 times 100. Then 15 minus what? 10 over 10 times what? 100.
100.
So here on top, we're going to have what? 20 from 10, that's negative what? Negative 10. Negative 10 over 20 is 0.5. Negative 50%. Then here, 15 minus Then
It's
5.
0.5.
0.5 times 100 is also 50%.
Yes.
So when you divide that, we get our elasticity of demand at -1. So what is our comment? That elasticity in this case is unit elastic. Unit elastic.
Mhm.
Now, the type of elasticity that occurs between two different goods. How do you react when you hear that the price of milk has gone up? That is what we call cross-price elasticity.
Okay.
Cross-price elasticity looks at elasticity or changes in quantity of good X over the changes in price for good Y, another commodity. So this is second quantity for good times 100 over the price for another good, PY1 over PY1 times 100. So can you remind me, if we got a cross-price elasticity of -2, what does it mean? If we got a cross-price elasticity of +2, what does it mean?
Mm.
-2, since the negative means a complementary good.
Oh, that's the answer you're looking for now. I was thinking of something else.
It means
Okay.
substitute good.
It is positive.
Yes.
Mhm.
Then also income elasticity of demand. Income is denoted by Y or M. So income elasticity of demand is simply the percentage change in what? T over the change in what? Income. Or Q2 minus Q1 over Q1 times 100 divided by Y2 minus Y1 over Y1 times 100. So tell me, if you found your income elasticity as -2, what does that mean? If you come income elasticity as +2, what does it mean? So the -1 means an inferior good. +1 means a normal good. Okay. So these are the principles that you need to understand. We can apply this on our question here. So you're frustrated with managerial economics grade. So you decide to abandon your academic career and focus on business to set up a new business in the city market. So this person in question is James. So James wants to set up a business. So he packets mini meal in those Pamela designer packs, as well as what? The ladies' pants. So at the price of what? 50 kwacha,
Sure.
James manages to sell pants every month. Whilst at 45, he also manages to sell away every mini meal bag, 45 mini meal bags at 60 kwacha. So his friend Wally wants to take advantage of the opportunity to bring in the bras, which are complementary goods. So he brings only 30 bras, but he's selling them at 75 kwacha because business is booming. So James's wife advises him to say, your friend who has joined us is making more money. So you increase your price of what? Over the bras and the mini meal. And the 50 kwacha and the 60 kwacha respectively, you take them also as well to 75 kwacha. So immediately when he does that, we find that the price, it affects the monthly demand for the goods to 40 and 30 respectively.
40.
Yeah. So let's analyze this question very well so that we understand the concept I've just been teaching you right now. But this is very important because it's a very applicable question. Okay. Let me
Yes.
on the board that we analyze it bit by bit. So this is the question that we have. It's here. So I need us now to understand the information that has been given. So what information do we have in here?
Prices, 223.
Okay, so let's go to the pants. For the pants, what is the initial price? Then a new price. So for the pants, we can say the initial price for the pants was 50 kwacha. Okay, which James was selling 50 units. So the initial one was selling 50 kwacha and the quantities were 50, all right? All together.
Yes.
And now
Yes, we are.
try to increase it to 75 kwacha. Okay. So now he's selling a new quantity. Instead of selling the 50, he's now selling at how much? He's selling only 30 units. So our new quantity is 30 altogether.
Yes.
So this is P1 and this is P2. This is Q1 and this is Q2. So what is our elasticity of demand? Remember the formula? What's the formula for elasticity of demand?
Percentage change in quantity demanded over the price, the change in price.
Okay.
So the other way around. Quantity over price change.
Hmm. So what we have now? What do we put here? What is our Q2? 30 minus
Q 30 minus 60. What's the first quantity? 50 minus 50.
Sometimes we leave out the hundreds here because they cancel out. It's no problem. So here,
Okay.
your elasticity of demand to be negative 0.8. So what does it mean? What is the meaning of this 0.8? Calculate it.
Since it's negative, we say that our good is an inferior good.
It's inelastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, since you're just calculating normal elasticity
Yes.
of demand.
Correct. Yes. So the value here is inelastic. It means that a unit increase in price will undoubtedly, if increase by 1%, the quantity demanded will reduce by 0.8%. So since 0.8 is less than 1, we can say demand is inelastic. Okay.
Yes.
Let's go to the millimole now. The millimole. So the millimole, let's itemize the data for the millimole. So what information do you have regarding the millimole? Let me get the information again. I have deleted. So I want to calculate the elasticity of demand for the millimole as well. So this is the data here. All right. So part A was calculate the elasticity of pants and millimole. So for millimole, what data do we have regarding the millimole? What information do we have? So for mini-mu, what was the initial price and what was the quantity? So when check closely, our mini-mu was initially 60 kwacha. Okay, where's that data? Was 60 kwacha. This is a mini-mu pack initially. All right. Then we increased to 75 kwacha here. So causing the quantity to also decrease from 45 units. This was selling for 45 units, but now it's selling for how many units? 40 units, remember? 40 units.
Yes.
For the pants. So what is the price elasticity of demand for the mini-mu? Q2 minus Q1.
Mm,
Q1 divided by P2 minus P1 over P.
mm,
You get it, right?
yes.
So this computation will look something like this. So here we're going to have 5 minus 40 over 45 divided by 75 minus 60 over 60, you get 0.44. This is also inelastic. So it means that yes, by increasing the price, you lose demand. A 1% increase in price will result in a 0.44% decrease in quantity demanded. So since it is 0.44, which is less than -1, the product is inelastic. So not very sensitive at all as well.
Okay.
So what was the second question asking us to do now? We use
Use the concepts of elasticities and revenue to determine and justify whether it was worth it for James to listen to Sylvia's advice of increasing prices on the products, the two products.
So regarding the pants, since elasticity is less than 1, an increase, of course, will give us a loss, but not a significant one because only 0.8% will be lost. So therefore, an increase in the price will cause revenue, and the elasticity is greater than 0.5. So the increase will cause a fall in the total revenue. So whenever our elasticity is more than 0.5, more than half there, so it will be significant enough to reduce your revenue. So then for mini-mu, the elasticity is less than 0.5. So an increase in price will not affect the total revenue. So for mini-mu, it is bad because this is, for mini-mu, it's okay. The increase in price, people will still buy because why? To start with, I said mini-mu is what? It's a necessity. People will just complain it's elastic. But for this one here, 0.1, it is quite significant. So it will affect the revenue somewhat. So you make it say both of them are inelastic, quite right? But increase in price for pants is significant enough to affect the demand by causing the revenue to reduce. Are we together?
Yes. Yeah.
So verify this or qualify it in the context of what? It being a necessity and it being other good. Then the second question, last question, is asking us to say, after the ordeal, while I developed a strong hatred for Sylvia and stopped talking to her, use the concept of elasticity, you learned in class and explain why. So was Walia supposed to hate James in a way? Are you there?
Yes, yes, I am. Just someone was giving me something because I'm in the car.
All right. So we want to analyze this hatred. So the two goods, now you need to understand that Walia is a complementary good. This one was selling bras and this one was selling pants. So we know that have a negative what? Impact. All right. So these
Yeah.
goods move in hand in hand. So if you have fuel and what? and the car, you discover that fuel goes up, the car dealers will be upset reasonably because what is being put in the cars they're buying is going to affect their demand. So since the goods are complementary goods, it will have a negative impact on value. So in this case, price elasticity of demand for pants is inelastic. Consumer is sensitive to any in the price, and it reduce the quantity demanded in the bras, so it will affect what is business. So ethically, I don't know whether you get the concept. So why should she be affected? These are what complementary goods. Then finally,
Okay.
explain your knowledge of the factors that influence elasticity and determine and explain the possible reasons that you've observed in the differences in the price elasticities of medium and pants. Okay, so the factors that affect elasticities are quite many. So there are several factors. So we're going to list luxury or necessity. So since both minimum and pants have elasticity, which is less than the unit, they're both what? Necessities. So in Zambia, minimum is used to prepare food. It's a staple food, so it is necessary. It's consumed on a daily basis. Therefore, the price increase would have a less impact on the quantity demanded. So on the other side, pants being a need also can reduce one's quantity on a monthly plan. So they have some degree of necessity. But substitute goods concept that affects elasticity, it is an important thing to note that in this context, consumers can substitute one good for the other approximately. So in Zambia, midi meal is used to prepare staple food. This is shima. So availability of pants, availability of substitutes like pants makes it more appealing for them to buy midi meal even more because those pants people do without food. So there are several other factors, but just these two that we mentioned. I hope this was clear and well explained.
Yeah, it's okay.